Hello. Now I feel the awkward obligation of being too enthusiastic, so you all don't want to kill yourselves. Sorry, Mom. Can't believe you watched it again. Really nice mom, and I love you. The next one's a little bit nicer. So let's do Jay Howell. This fucking, part of my language, Mom, sorry. This family let me shoot my first short film, Excision, at their house. They're the best. Jay and Betsy. Jay can drink. I mean, for real. You're a good dude. Betsy, you are a saint.
And Paul's here, who was in...
I was leading into that, right? I was going to build it up a little bit. Paul actually played a big character in my first movie. He's a local actor. He's the coolest dude ever. Quite frankly, and when I was trying to figure out who'd be a televangelist, I messaged Paul, and he recorded like 800 versions of doing it. It was awesome. You know, thank you, Paul. Paul's been nice to me for a billion years, so he's great. And I thought you stopped smoking, but you smell like cigarettes earlier. So I'm going to call you out on that one, man. Don't worry, I'm having trouble doing the same thing. It's all good. All right, but I love you, man. Thank you so much for coming. So Q&A time, questions. I will be candid. I will be embarrassing. I'll do whatever. Somebody. I know it's scary to ask a question, believe me. In a million film festivals, I never asked a single goddamn question. Yes, you.
Hi, big fan. Is this hard because of so much thinking in this film? You made Anna Lynn McCord up to be really unattractive and she's a beautiful woman. Is that hard to do? Like,
no, she's the weirdest person I ever met. I mean, honestly. She makes me look like semi-okay. Yeah, it's really, you know, part of the, you know, if you're an actor, the job is to be able to do a whole bunch of things, right? But everyone gets typecast out in LA, and you get stuck in sort of one zone, and the whole fun of it, especially when you're making movies on budgets I am, if you want someone to go to the ends of the earth and just kill it and give you everything, you cast them in a role no other movie would, all right? Because they get to reinvent themselves. It means that much more. So that's what I've done on every movie pretty much, is cast against type. Except for Matthew Gray Googler, who I always cast as an idiot. Kevin, you like that? There you go. All right, someone else. Be brave. Who gives a shit, right? You, sir. Here's the thing. I cannot answer that question. It's annoying, I know. No. All right. But would you have another question? You get a follow-up. Anything you want. About anything. Doesn't have to be about the movie. All right. I'll come back to you. Rachel?
This movie focused a lot on a relationship between two people. How much did you draw on your own personal relationship?
Rachel, fuck.
Noel's not here, it's fine.
No, yeah. All right. No, well, actually, not too much. I mean, I made both characters much more exciting than we are, because it's a movie, you know. And then, you know, I try and write dialogue like it's an action scene, and I shoot at center punch, very in your face and confrontational. Bits and pieces, sure. I mean, was I depressed when I made the movie? Absolutely. A depressed person doesn't not make that movie, Rachel. All right. But the whole sort of idea was that if I did this thing, and it was like a personal exorcism, like over the titles, I'm actually doing the screaming on all the levels. Mom, I love you. Just bear with me. 5 minutes. And so the idea was that, you know, in some weird way, I would learn what it was to be a man. I still don't know what the hell that means. But I did propose to Noel, and I did, you know, whatever, get this sort of weird, crazy apology out of my system. And the whole point of the movie, I wrote the first scene and the last scene, and then I wrote the movie in between. Sort of like a guy who's, you know, wants to die, and then he gets his wish, because the universe has this weird sort of fucked up way of, you know, giving you what you asked for. And it's sort of about how selfish you become when you're depressed, you know? And so, whereas most movies, it's a structure-wise, you know, if anyone's like, right or whatever, you know, you take a likable character, you put him in a shit situation, and then the idea is for him to work his way out of it. So the idea with this film was to introduce you to an asshole, and then slowly, like in real life, let you figure out why, and then let you sort of understand where he was coming from. But it certainly wanted to be like unflinching with the sort of selfishness that comes with being depressed. You know, I'm doing great now, guys. Doing pretty fucking good. Stop clapping and don't do that. You're gonna make me depressed again. Does anyone else have a question? Yes.
What was your horror movie inspiration? What made you want to do horror?
You know, it's a tough question because I never. I actually don't even watch a movie. First of all, like everything I've ever seen, probably. Because I don't watch a movie when I'm writing. I don't watch a movie while I'm making one because I'm too scared that I'll just, like, you know, intuitively steal something. I'm sure everything I've ever seen has something to do with it. But, you know, the idea behind this one is that they sort of drive into a horror movie 30 minutes into a romantic comedy. And I don't really think of genre because life is pretty much a horror comedy in and of itself. You know? I mean, if you're over 15 years old, you know that. If not, you shouldn't be here. Did that do anything for you? A little bit? There you go. All right. Not much. Thanks. All right. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
What's your favorite romantic comedy?
Ooh, hey, this is a difficult one. Harold and Maude, actually. All right. You know what's up. Right on. Okay. So, Mom, what are you doing? You're pointing to... Oh! Did you ask a question? My mom was pointing to you. You get bonus points. You get 7 questions. What do you got? Amy? Sorry, that is you. I apologize. This movie took me 2.5 weeks to write. Then I did a bunch of, you know, rewrites on it. It's pretty fast. The fastest I ever wrote anything. Because I made this movie called Excision, and I got to do whatever the hell I wanted. And it was successful in a way, you know, whatever that means for an indie, and it was great. And then my follow-up movie, I had to take all these notes. It was a pretty terrible experience, you know. But the idea was I'm not going to do one of these again because they outlive you. You know, each movie will live longer than you, and it will have your name on it. It's you know, it's a very important sort of thing. So I was going to not do another one unless I could sort of do whatever the hell I wanted again. And it's a rarity, and it's cool that I got to do that. I'm very grateful. And maybe I'll get to do another one. I mean, who the hell knows, guys? Amy, what was that? Did that do it? Oh, thank you. All right. Pogo, what do you got for me, bud?
Any scenes that you had to take out because
Yeah.
they're kind of a little too far or too offensive?
No, not with this one. Not with this one. With Excision, several. But I was 22 and I was full of fuck you. Now I'm just 1/3 fuck you.
Somebody wants to know what it was like to work with Adrian.
What it was like to work with Adrian. Okay. So he's definitely not who you think he is. I mean, you know, I fucking hate the show Entourage. Let's just be real. Like, I honestly blame it for like every shitty person I have to deal with in Hollywood. Like, every terrible kid watched that show wherever they grew up and then wanted to be one of those assholes, and they moved to Hollywood and I have to work with them. Quite frankly, that's the truth. But Adrian actually starred in the first independent film I ever saw. My mom would let me go to Blockbuster all the time, and I rented this Adventures of Sebastian Cole movie. And it was literally the first independent film I ever saw. So, you know, each one of these could be your last. So you're trying to personalize it as much as you can. So I made an offer to him, and through getting to know him, he's like a total weird hippie. I mean, you know, with all the money he has, he lives in a 1 freaking bedroom apartment. You know, like he's a very fascinating dude. He's not a bad guy. It was good working with him. it was the only tough thing, and I, was just getting him to be mean, because he doesn't want to be unlikable. That's not the name of the game with this one. So I went pretty hard on him, and I don't know. I mean, I think actually we were talking about doing another one together. So, we'll see. A real actor doesn't really give a shit as long as it works out. As long as he's proud of the final product. I don't know. That was Sonia. Put me in a corner with that one. Put me in a hell of a corner, Sonia. All right, someone else. Or we can end this. Oh, goddamn it.
The last couple dark comedies that I saw, it seemed like people were sort of, the director or somebody was working out their demons. And did you feel less depressed after this? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly. I mean, look, most of the best, the great thing about seeing a movie is if you get to personalize it, you get a sense of that person. It doesn't mean it's literal, it doesn't mean it's, autobiographical, but you get a sense of their history of anything, you know what I mean? And that's like the most important thing you can do. And it's like a terrible thing to say. And I used to, when I grew up here, I made like the nicest movies out, to please my parents. Like I made like a World War I movie, like it's fucking like 10 years old, like for the soldiers of Verdun, But the best and most important thing I learned in college is, if you want to make anything that sort of matters, you have to pretend your parents are dead. That's not, but it's true. It's true. You have to kill them while you're making it. Because then it's the only way to be uninhibited. Because regardless of what anyone says, there is that you want to please your parents. You want, you know what I mean, like any kid on the planet. So if you want to do something of value, you have to do it your way, and you have to do that. But this was incredibly cathartic. I mean, my whole sort of life turned around after I finished it, quite frankly. I got signed to a big agency, and I wrote, actually, believe it or not, my man, I wrote a romantic comedy. Then my mom asked me the premise, and she said, "Oh, fuck you, I thought you were gonna make one I'd like." But so I wrote a romantic comedy and horror film, so we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, everything, it's sort of therapy. It's cool. It's cool. You had a question, Alex.
What are you doing next? What can we look for?
Okay, so we just touched upon this, Alex.
I had to cue it up. Come on.
Yeah, I got you. So it's sort of like a fucked up version of Love Actually. My pitch was finally a romantic comedy for people who could actually use one. So look forward to that. And then the other one is sort of a weird movie about an old man who's lived his life completely by the books, and he's done everything he wanted to, and his kids are about to put him in a nursing home. But he has sort of this one last thing he wants to check off his bucket list, and that is to see what it feels like to kill someone. And we approach it very realistically and disturbingly. My mother will not like it. Yes?
Do you think that Pearl solved the problem and better?
No, certainly not. Certainly not. That's not how this world works. No. The whole point is sort of, it's never too late to change, right? If you're immortal. But it is too late to change if you want to affect the lives of the people around you who you, sort of influence negatively. So, what the hell did you ask again? I'm trailing off. Give me something. Right, so the idea was she certainly didn't. And the sort of monster of the movie was this beautiful, innocent, perfect child that they made a monster. So that was the idea behind the whole thing. Someone else, dig me out of this fucking hole. You have cool parents, man. How old are you?
23.
Oh shit, you look young as hell. Fucking stand up for a second. This guy's 23 fucking years old. Alright, that was also not a diss. You're gonna love that in 10 years. Alright, question?
So there was pretty clearly a strong religious motif in this movie. Did that have any meaning behind it, or was it just being used as a set piece?
No, I mean, certainly. I mean, I have my own opinions about a lot of things. I also love my mother. So here's the deal. So they sort of drive into, half my family's from Mississippi, half my family's from here. They sort of drive into that world that is sort of exaggerated and bigger. And, as ridiculous as it is to flip through 6 channels of televangelists, I did it. I did it in Mississippi. All right. So what I will say is, one of the only real great values of film in the long run is that it speaks to something that was happening when it was made. It doesn't have to be necessarily accurate, but it can speak to like the mindset of a filmmaker or someone, right? So, this was quite literally about the cultural divide. They drive into 2 movies, and they're both hypocrites, and they're both assholes, and that's that. But I'm certainly not going to go into that. My thoughts on religion, but good for you for asking a question. And good luck in life, young man. All right, what else we got? You, my dude.
I have a question.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I can't see a goddamn thing.
It's okay. Towards the end of the movie, that pastor comes in and he's got the blood wrench and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do?
So the idea was that he had this weird crisis of conscience in a fucked up way, because that, everything or nothing is black and white, right? And he was going to go there and he was going to intervene, and he knew something bad was going to happen, and then he just couldn't. He just couldn't allow it to affect his life, and he leaves. So that's what we were doing. That's what we're doing with that. Did that something? I mean, that's the honest answer.
Yeah.